The Kohala Action Committee meeting. It's Monday, Monday, May 24, 2024. It's live and in person. Sure. Scott Johnson. Call this meeting to order. So the Kohala Action Committee meeting is now on order. Meeting is held in person. Recorded on Zoom, and as a reminder, it's not action committee members appearing remotely must keep their cameras on. Monitors with them. So all there are remember it's here.
Hi Ruth, can you turn your camera on, for today's meeting? We need it in order to be in compliance with sunshine.
Remember present. Oh, sound one. This is here. Ethan Brooks. Brooks here.
Oh, he's at mother.
These absences are with Karen Anderson and Trustee.
I'm gonna message her.
From the planning department, from the county.
Oh.
Planning department. Remember, on the way, I understand. Few housekeeping items. Please make sure your cell phone will turn off or miss anything. If there's anyone here who'd like to testify, please fill out the sign up form. It's available. And give it to our staff. Zoom testifiers and send a message in the chat to Zoom host indicating which item to testify on. Yes, everyone, please state your name before speaking. And to all of us who are attending here in person, we can speak towards the camera. So everyone on Zoom here. Time is 5:11, and the committee now consider approving February 26, 2024 minutes.
We don't have four yet. It's for this is on.
For you.
Oh. Good.
Hey, yeah, I messaged her.
Thank all our guests online. Coming to see. It's waiting for Ruth, but.
Turn your camera.
Just turn it on.
Start the meeting.
It's a little bit. You can blur out your background.
Oh, there she is.
There we go.
I hope you feel better and get better soon here. You know, well, you feel better.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so. Approval of minutes, so. Alright, are there any corrections, if anybody? If there, yeah, there's no further corrections, there are 26 ordinance. Yeah. Second. We have a second for approval minutes.
Oh.
Okay, all in favor, minute, approving minutes?
Aye.
Oh, yes. Good. Okay, so moving on, public testimony on agenda items. And it's 5:12, 5:14. The committee will now call for statements from the public. As stated in the published agenda, members of the public may provide public testimony regarding any agenda item now or at the time the agenda item is called to order. If there's anyone here who would like to testify, please go. Go all the time.
Sure, so my name is Michael, comes from Michael Village.
Can you come up here that way the owl, people want to can hear?
Hello, I'm Michael Pavelitz, Michael Village. In the minutes that you just approved on today's agenda, you memorialized the vote you took last meeting where planning said that they would update the CDP map for this district. I haven't seen that updated map, so I'm just wondering when that might be back. That's all.
Yeah, the request is, following its way. Okay.
Being Zoom testimony. So we'll move on and to business. Business, 516, continuing now on business item number 1. One is the overview of the CDP Action Committee, purpose and South Kohala CDP implementation priorities. Presentation will be done by the planning department staff. Background roles of CDP
I'm gonna try to get it up.
discussion. Discussion to establish which implementation project the committee will pursue based off findings in the South Kohala CDP. Is there anybody who'd like to provide any testimony on that? Yes, have 3 minutes. Is anybody online or in person?
Oh, wait, can you see my screen? Oh, how come it's blank?
We're going over the the agenda items and we're going over the CDP. Goals. Purpose.
There you go.
If there's anybody here that would like to provide any testimony on that, this time.
Mm.
And, 3 minutes.
How do I put it? I don't know.
Planning department do their presentation.
Maybe try and move this
Move this.
window, this one to. And then.
And then-
CDP,
Maybe you can-
the
New share, yeah. Maybe that, this one.
Oh, this one?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
How does that look online for everybody? Are you guys seeing our presentation? Our title slide? Yeah,
Looks good.
you good? Okay, all right, so. And maybe you can make, either, maybe you can drag the people to.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Here.
okay. Okay, so just to kind of rewind, so it's February was the last time we had a meeting, at that meeting. We started the conversation on finding the implementation priorities that the committee wants to pursue. This year. With that, we sent out a Google form. And so today we're kind of just gonna go over that overview again. And then also go over the results from what all the members kind of stated as priorities that they wanted to look into. And then from after this presentation, then for AC members to discuss which items they want to focus on and what kind of strategies they want to use to pursue those priorities. Yeah. Yes, please feel free to interrupt with questions at any moment. We're gonna kind of go very zooming all the way out for the action committee again. This is maybe helpful for community members that might be on Zoom and in person, just to kind of re-ground us on what the CDP action committee is. So, not really. Excellent. Okay, so at another action committee, can you get on the camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, another action committee from another district requested a more visual understanding or explanation of where the ACs live in our county and within the public realm also. So we took a jab at it using the software. This is our first kind of time really trying this out. So it's kind of came up with this presentation style of this little mind map here. So I'm just gonna go through it. A lot of you guys, this action committee, like, you guys have actually a lot of experience, so this is probably well aware. This is just a refresher and for any new people in the audience. Okay, here we go. So starting off. Within the planning department, we have what are called, within the county, we have what are called action committees. And there are 6 districts that have an action committees. These action committees are rooted in community development plans, which are documents that were created for each district. And then became ordinance, and then these action committees are intended to implement. Hey. No. What's that?
521.
5:21. All right, the time is. I just want to clarify, every time we announce the time, I know it sounds a little, like, I'm sorry, it's for our minutes later on, right? It's just, we're just trying to keep this as a really good part. I'm sorry, you can push my computer. Okay, so. And one of these CDP action committees is softball, so next. Now, if we look at government hierarchy as a whole, interesting, we got federal, down to state, down to county, and then within the county, we have the planning department. Within the planning department itself, we have multiple divisions. Okay, so we have the recovery division, which was a temporary recently with the Kohala election. We have planning commission division or planning division. We have administrative permits division, administrative services division, and long range. Planning commission.
Oh,
We'll just go back. more. So admin services, that's our HR, that's our GIS, those are those kind of things. Admin premises are, you know, subdivisions, consolidations, plan approvals, variances, that's what those kind of applications are processed, whereas planning commission applications, that's your SMAs, that's your special permits, your use permits, your rezoning. Just so you guys, everybody kind of gets an understanding what the different divisions cover. And then we have long range, so this is, we live within the long range division. Within long range, we have management, of course, then we have natural and cultural resources, we have infrastructure and design, and then we have community planning. Now, just to go on a little bit further breakdown of what each section covers, you can. Management, so this will cover the Board of Appeals, they administer that. They oversee the general plan. And they, another project that they have is the climate action, you guys remember that last year. Go next. Natural and cultural resources, they focus on public access, they have a setback riparian project. They also administer the Cultural Resources Commission, another advisory board. Infrastructure design, so that's the Transit Oriented Development Council at the state level, they hold a seat there with the director. They also and these are just example projects that they do, obviously all of these division sections do a lot more, but infrastructure design also covers the Kohala and Kona transit hubs. They also have KOSN, which is the Kona Open Space Network plan that's currently underway. Next. And then here we are, current staff that you see in front of you are community planning staff. So community planning, what our primary responsibility is to help manage the CDP programs. Within the community development programs, we have program updates, we have the action committees, and we have the annual action plans that we help guide the committees to pursue. And so that's kind of what we're doing here now. To give a little background. No, yeah, that's good. Next slide, please. And so of the action committees, of course, we have South, here we are looking at South Kohala. Now, the South Kohala CDP AC, they can reach out. The way they can operate is very, very open. You guys have a really broad range of how we can work to implement the CDP document. As a general rule, though, you guys will work with different partners in that affected community. So we have non-governmental organizations, we have private agencies, we have representatives of the federal, state, county. So we look at it, NGOs, this is just an example, of course. We have the Hawaii Land Trust, we have the various community associations within the district, we have HICPC, you can go next. For private agencies, again, just examples, HealthCo, HBA, healthcare providers, Parker Ranch, people's advocacies for Trails Hawaii. What next? And when we look at the federal level, then we have Congress, we have NOAA, we have National Parks, FEMA. And then when we look at the state level, we have DLNR, DHHL, DOE, DOT, PUC, the Public Utilities Commission. And then, of course, there's always the county, right? This is reaching out to the different departments, public works, parks and rec, housing, planning department, of course, and county council. Very important to keep those agencies in mind. And this is either working directly with their department heads, or even working more hands-on with different employees within those divisions, departments. If you have next, that might be. And so that's just a general overview of what could happen. And the way you guys interact with those different agencies, different departments, or community organizations, there is some guidance within the CDP document, but at the same time, it's kind of what is relevant to the committee. And how the committee best wants to strategize to pursue those things. It is often helpful to keep in mind what are the priorities of the current administration, and what are current grassroots efforts that have a lot of momentum behind them, or what is a gap that needs to be filled, that you see, and that you feel motivated towards. Let me go back to the presentation now. Okay, now going back. Purpose of the CDP Action Committee to be a proactive, community-based steward of the implementation and updating of the CDP document. Provide ongoing input and advocacy to advance implementation of the CDP goals, objectives, policies, and actions. Now, to break it down, the kind of support that the ACs have. At its core, you have planning department and corporation council. So you have planning department staff to administer your committee, and you also have corporation counsel available to be a legal advisor to your committees. They represent you. Let's just go into breakdown with planning, administrative support. So this is the timely preparation and distribution of the agenda for each meeting to satisfy meeting notice requirements for Sunshine, meeting logistics, correspondence, annual reports, website publications, and preparation and official posting of meeting minutes. So we kind of help you just keep in line with Sunshine and kind of do a little bit of your social media and online coverage. We liaise between the community and governmental agencies and furtherance of the CDP goals and objectives. And we facilitate the implementation of the CDP and serve as a planning resource to the committee and community. I'm going to say, and I'll probably the caveat is that we have a brand new CDP too. And considering that this committee is made of primarily holdovers that have been holdovers for a minute, I can probably guarantee you that you guys know the CDP document a little bit better than us. But we are here, we are growing and learning. I've only been in this position for a year, my staff even less. I have staff that haven't passed probation. So I'm just being open and honest, but we're here to try and we're here to be helpful where we can. So we're always open to suggestions. Please let us know, reach out. Now, if we look at corporation counsel, so they are your legal advisor representative to the county boards and commissions. They provide guidance on sunshine law, Robert's Rule of Order, and other legal matters. May assist with training of new AC members. And Jean Campbell has been appointed to all the action committees and is available to discuss CDP related issues via email and through the CDP staff. Jean Campbell may attend action committee meetings either in person or via Zoom, but her attendance is not mandatory. If we have something coming up on the agenda or for any reason that you feel that you definitely want Jean present for that meeting, that planning isn't already aware, please feel free to reach out so that we can try to make sure we can more consistently guarantee that she would be in attendance. Because she does now oversee all the ACs amongst other boards and commissions. It's a little tight for workload, but nonetheless, she's available and we're working with her to provide refreshers regarding sunshine, Robert's Rule of Order, things like that. Jean is also available to provide to help draft any legislative policies that you guys want to pursue and things like that. So she's here, she's available, but we might need to, if you see something that you want her there for, then let's make sure we kind of announce this. Yeah. And then we have the members. This is our volunteers that show up awesomely for our meetings. So AC members, we regularly attend action committee meetings. They develop priorities and a work plan to implement community actions in the CDPs. They develop partnerships with individuals, nonprofits, businesses, and community groups associations to implement CDP policies and actions. Transmit project updates and involvement opportunities regularly to their CDP region. Intentionally and explicitly engage all factions of their community with specific attention to those who are marginalized and underrepresented. Invest a minimum of 8 hours of work each month advancing CDP implementation through priority projects and initiatives. Now, amongst our AC members, we also have AC chairs and vice chairs. In the case that a chair may not be available to attend a meeting, then vice chair would step in their place. AC chairs are, they will open all meetings of the committee. They will help maintain order, clarity of process and action, and proper decorum. They will review all matters properly brought before the committee, call for votes upon the same, and announce the results. They will authenticate by signature all acts of the committee as may be required by law. An example of this is your guys' comments that you submitted to planning regarding the general fund track, yeah? You guys can, so those comments were compiled, cover letter was sent to chair signed, and we submitted those to planning, or they would be on the respective agency. Let's see here. A gentle reminder, we must abide by sunshine law. Sunshine law is what is open meeting law. It governs the manner in which all state and county boards must conduct their business. Sunshine law outlines requirements for committee and subcommittee meetings. It also dictates how committee members are allowed to interact with each other concerning committee business. Oftentimes, sunshine law is frequently made out to be the bad guy. And yes, it does bring barriers to us, it slows us down, but overall, its goal is transparency within them. I think that's something that most people can agree is important. So hence you have administrative staff to help you abide by those laws. We also follow a modified version of Robert's Rule of Order. This protocol is intended to be a guide for conducting meetings and making decisions at a group. These rules help to define how a committee conducts committee business and also helps committee members understand the appropriate way to participate in a cooperative manner. Again, this committee has quite a bit of experience already. For newer committees, this is kind of where I explain how we don't want to get the agenda helps us, you know, not go off on too many tangents in the meeting. It can be difficult when we have communities that might provide testimony at any moment during the meeting. But the goal is to follow some version, to follow Robert's rules as best we can to kind of help the committee stay in line with sunshine, but also just to make sure we're respecting everybody's time. Let's see here. Okay, so before we go into the plan and all of you guys' priority items that you guys voted for, I just want to give another, I don't know, disclaimer to clarify. I don't know if I mentioned this at the last meeting.
Sorry, it's gotta go, so. We still have quorum.
We still have quorum with Kevin here now. Ruth is stepping out now. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you, Ruth.
5:35.
It's 5:35. Thank you, Ruth. We appreciate you. Let's see. Sorry. No, that's thank you.
Okay, next.
As much as I acknowledge that our CDP team is pretty new and green, I'm still kind of getting the hang of all the different CDPs. Another piece to the puzzle is that through COVID, through other changes that happened within the violent crime and staffing challenges, the administrative CDP staff that was supposed to be here supporting you guys essentially disappeared for a bit of time. And I fully acknowledge that, and every district handled that change very differently. And so this year with this team, and I'm kind of seeing this more as we're kind of relaunching this program, CDPs and the ACs. I haven't been here for a lot of the things that happened, but this is kind of just the underlying theme that we are going, hence these presentations, hence taking it from the bottom. And we also been having a lot of community outcry with not understanding what ACs do. And so hence, again, I go into this just to remind the AC movement, but really, us just kind of working on our outreach and how we present ourselves to the public, giving them these resources. These meetings are posted on YouTube for the public to go and reference and learn about what we do. So just kind of give you that for you guys. Okay, now the CDP document itself. This is a 2008 document. We all acknowledge that 2008 was a couple of days ago. But within there may be things that the CDP AC might want to tackle that has not been done yet, unfortunately. So if we look at the CDP document, the general purpose, again, guide county actions, guide the policy and actions of the state and federal agencies, and focus and guide community action, right? This is where you guys are supposed to rise and shine in terms of advocacy and helping the community find their way to connect with the county or other government or community groups to move forward on what was stated in these documents. So South Kohala has 4 CDP themes. So one area, infrastructure, roads, public service, facilities.
Yeah.
These are type of. Another key area, community, culture, and housing. Key area number 3, regional growth. Key area number 4, open space, parks, historic sites, and working. In our survey, we asked you guys which of these was most important to you. Although we didn't get everybody to respond to the survey, let's clarify that, those that did respond did highlight, I believe there was resounding consensus that infrastructure was the interest amongst all of you. And then there were other priorities.
Yep.
Well, we'll go forward.
There.
And then there was also community, culture, housing, and then the regional, it's the next. But yes, all were mentioned to some degree. Okay, there we go. Okay, now, for those that are unfamiliar with the CDP document, its chapters are broken down into an introduction. And then chapter 2 gives a more, yesterday and tomorrow, is what it's called. So it gives a general physical setting, historical overview of land use, kind of orients you to the region. Chapter 3, district-wide policy. So it outlines policies related to the 4 areas, 4 issue areas: to preserve culture, sense of place, transportation, emergency preparedness, and environmental stewardship / sustainability. Now, chapters 4 through 7, they outline plans for 4 specific communities within the South Kohala region. So that's, of course, Waimea, Waikoloa, Kohala. In chapter 8, you'll find the implementation matrix. They kind of took all the policy, strategy, action items and put them into a matrix to kind of, and divided the matrix by district, so that to kind of help break down what was being said in the document. And then referencing page numbers, so you can go back and get the more in-depth understanding within chapters 3 to 7. And then chapter 9 offers a sort of monitoring plan. We can. Okay, so here's an example picture of what piece of the implementation matrix looks like. You can find that on page 150 to 152 within the CDP document. You can find the CDP document on the CDP website. You can reach out to planning at cdp@hawaiicounty.gov if you have trouble navigating there. Yeah. Okay, so now this is your guys' Google Form responses. This is the most recent responses we got. Yep, these are the code, these are the acronyms that are used within there, just in case we need to reference it in our conversation. Okay. All right, so yeah. So these are the first priority responses that were submitted. Number 1.1, the Waikoloa Village Plan. That was actually referenced, I believe, twice within the Google form. So that is the financing and constructing of the second access road to the park. Also mentioned was Waimea Town Plan 3.1. This is the self-help housing action item, which would provide more affordable housing for the Waimea community. So this would be Office of Housing and Community Development, County, HSC, and you guys. Waimea Town Plan 4.3, walkways and bikeways for Waimea to provide residents with alternative safe modes of transportation within Waimea Town. Now, and then because the list of other things, I don't disagree. So if we're looking at these, just to kind of, my goal today is just to kind of get you guys to start brainstorming, right? Clarify Planning has no interest in telling you which projects to focus on. We are purely here to help support and facilitate this conversation with whatever tools we can provide. So just when we look at the Waikoloa Village Plan 1.1, we're talking about that second road access. So I believe something related to this would be that press release that was announced of groundbreaking that happened maybe about a month ago. And maybe you guys, the what? The Band-Aid. And to discuss that and to see what that means and how, what the AC wants to do or try to research on how to do that.
I have a question. In a lot of the CDP, the language reads that the county councilors take the lead and initiate. And it falls on deaf ears. I have emails where I requested that we meet with our councilor because we need to, she's the person that's gonna be the most actionable to get the community together to have discussions with the CDP. And, you know, back in December, I was told that the South Kohala CDP was the worst on the island, the least actionable by my council.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a document. And I said, well, why don't you just wait now and tell us, you know, why didn't you involve yourself? It's really disappointing. So from what point do the councilors have an enormous responsibility to the communities that they serve to be the initiators and the ones to take the lead in charge of these and bring on the planning department, the DPW, and everybody else, because, you know, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
We tied up Cindy,
Yeah.
she's the worst ever. Saying that to the public.
And no, and so then that's where the committee, in terms of strategizing, is like, where really are we on this list, right? So we acknowledge the update that's happening, right, or the Band-Aid, sorry, that's happening right now. And then we also understand key stakeholders that are not being involved. So does this conversation then, like, is that the first step? Is that, how are we gonna reach out to these stakeholders? It's an election year, you know, and all these different things to consider. And what can the AC do as a collective?
I mean, I asked for
If-
documentation for Rockville Heights for a year. And I finally had to submit a record of government request to get the information. It doesn't work out. So we can look at it. So I'm just saying, you know, I mean, it's kind of like we just can't walk in the park without information. That's, I think that's tough. I don't know. Got a job description and CDP's bigger than Nelson's job description, so you know, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I did reference it to the. But I wrote, yes, yeah.
Second.
It's not an easy job you guys have, right? You guys are volunteers on an advisory board. It's not, it's rough. It's not, we're not given. Yeah, okay. We can go back. I have. Self-help housing, let's talk a little bit, right? So there's talking about maybe how can we expand current products that are, you know, and or even maybe not even expanding, working to get those expansions, but how can we help improve those programs that are more realistic? I will say that this, I believe, was definitely Tristy's one, and an example she gave is that the income requirements that are set up by HICDC for self-help housing might be like a little out of touch coming when the increases in the minimum wage. And so, is there a role for the AC? Can they advocate for how these different organizations choose those kind of partners? And partnership, it's possible. One man at a time, walkways and bikeways. There is work already happening, but how can the AC get involved? Whether it's responding to the EAs or the public notices and getting comments like that as a collective. Yeah, okay, now. Okay, and so I put together the second and third priority responses because some of them were a little repetitive from the ones from the first priorities. And so now these are the ones that weren't repeated. And so then again, we have one mayor town plan 3.2, nonprofit housing corporation. So I mean, along the same things of more affordable housing for the Wyoming community, but this I really kind of looked at different strategy. I mean, town plan 2.0 acquisition of fee interest or of conservation easements of open space areas in East Wyman. So preservation of some East Wyman small farms and ranches, so. Looking like partners would be Wyman Land Trust, planning. Yeah. Then we had another comment, HIHT's first project will be the Kohala at Kohala Village Workforce Housing Project. The master plan for this ambitious project calls for the construction of 800 for sale homes and 400 residents, plus parks, a community center, daycare center, and a site for a future elementary school. Another priority that was suggested was the hardened disaster resistant gym shelter / community center to serve community and double as emergency shelter for residents, firefighters to rest, and tourists at the resort areas. And then we have Waimea Town Plan 1.2, require use permit for grading on steep land. So it would reduce the risk of hazards by providing an alternative evacuation route and either way, that would require a change in code on that, and so that would be something that we would probably engage with Corporation Council to draft something. And that would also be tapping in with the other partners within the county and to advocate. Yeah, okay, so that's kind of what you guys said back to us. And now I just want to open it up for you all to discuss and what you think. Well, I guess maybe before that, I want to give some examples of what other action committees have gone to do, have decided on doing. So they've taken different approaches. Certain committees have focused on creating permitted interaction groups and creating those groups and taking the conversation offline. Going and researching. Planning still supports them when requested. We might go to those meetings, we might have connections for them. But as a reminder, the way the permanent interaction group works is that they are created in a meeting and they will go offline and do whatever research they need to do to fulfill the goals and objectives noted within that was used to create the permanent interaction group. And then when they are ready to report back to the committee, they will report back in another meeting, and no decision making will happen at that meeting. And then at the subsequent meeting, the committee will make a decision based on the report of the committee.
That's a question. We had a pig, a subcommittee, and we never got anything back from the we made a presentation, the committee provided it on the second access road, as well as an intersection, and while Kohala Heights was still, they had 1 year left to get to the finish line, or they would have probably been reverted back to it. Yeah, I had emails from the county.
Yeah.
So I just kind of go, do you even look at what we do? We spent a lot of time working on it. And it obviously had no decision with this administration as to what was going on with, I mean, there's been 40 years of Kohala Heights being on the radar from Kohala development. You know, there's been a lot of changes in the environment, and the planning is pretty much should be required to have actionable change on things. And you're not dealing with 40 or 50 years of saying people for the second access or whatever, you know, or get you that information.
Yeah, and another strategy, if other members don't want to kind of jump on board on whatever idea that you want to work on, is that other committees have kind of just taken their own projects and gone off, and that's their project, or they'll work on it with maybe one other member, because that's still a license. And then they will just be continuously providing updates and seeking advice, whatever, from either planning or from the committee during these public meetings. That's another option. Other ACs are looking at a more collaborative approach, and kind of making sure that they can come together on just a few specific items that they can work together towards. And there's no silver bullet, right? And just because you created permitted interaction group, right now for a specific goal, doesn't mean that once you do your research and you come back and you realize you find some new information, that doesn't mean that you can create another, you know, it can grow. So there's a lot of ways to play the game. But Yeah, I don't know, I guess now back to you guys, how you guys wanna. And take all of these different items and see what interests you most.
Pete has a,
Uncle Pete, you have your hand up, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have to sign off at 6, but on the first priorities, the bikeways and walkways in Waimea, I think even more important, and part of that is the SSFM plan, which the state is moving on, I hope, for what's really traffic mitigation and calming, considering the rapid increase in traffic all day long in the middle of Waimea. So that would be 4.1. I just wanted to reiterate the importance of that particular action for traffic calming and mitigation. Thanks.
I'd like to jump in, but I don't know how to put my hand up.
Please go ahead.
I can't find it on the screen, so.
That's
fine.
Oh, okay, all right, I'll go do
Just
that.
put your hand up.
No, I like that little yellow thing, that's over there. I'd like to hitchhike on what Pete said. The county actually has some good ability to help with trails and alternate routes. That's the Waimea Trails and Greenway and the alignment on that. And I think that there's also some form of PONC application that's in. And what I wanted to do is let the county know they already have a road that goes from Church Row almost to Hawaiian Homelands Hall. And they need to start acting on that. I mean, it's already a Jeep trail that's already on the map, that's already under county connection right now. So how do we move that ahead?
I would say, the quick and simple answer would be, we can draft a letter, and we can have the AC collectively vote on submitting that letter to relevant parties, DPW, planning, council, mayor, etc. I think the more involved answer would require creating a PIG, or the PIG is only if you need 3 to 4 people working on this. But if you want to work on it on your own or with one other person, then this is something that we can work together. In general, and then be providing updates to the committee also. Kind of depends what other members are interested in, if kind of can break this down and see the different steps of how to provide a deeper action, and bring that to the committee once we're ready for that.
Is it my turn yet? This is Jojo. Can you hear me?
Right now, the committee is discussing, they will open up public testimony, again, for this action item. So you can hold your comments for one minute.
I think, from my perspective, the list is just too, I read the out of date comment, right? It's just the list of priorities for South Kohala was all this 15 years, more than 15, right? And I feel like we're not playing with the current game set. We're playing with an old game set, and when we're pursuing some of these items we're talking about, and I think that the current town council, the current town employees, and the current the residents around here aren't that interested in some of these issues. And like now that we have the Kohala is already partially built, right? And Waikoloa Heights is not built, right? So now the needs of this particular community have changed. We now have a shopping center that doesn't look much like the community that we had when 2008 is the end, right? So 5 years prior to that. So I think that you could say, look at it another way and say, you know, how come the county government's support for South Kohala is not satisfying? We could say, well, we don't have updated information for them to use. Right, someone will say, oh, I'm a new county council member, I'm gonna look at the South Kohala CDP, and they're gonna say, this is the least actionable document on the island, what are we gonna do with this? So I think if you were asking me, like, we should update it. I think it needs to get updated.
It's a good point. Definitely, it would be nice to have a general plan finalized, and with the idea with the general plan is to have to see the structure of the new general plan. The ACs can follow that structure and be a little bit more comprehensive and understandable. Better flow between all the different documents as opposed to what we have right now, where we have 6 different CDPs that were all, I mean, some of them were written around the same time, but by different consultants, different. So. Yeah, so I guess to restate what you're saying, Kevin, is that you're saying that your actionable item is pursuing an updated CDP for the South Kohala CDP. And if we're looking at that, yes, I would say general plan is right now the focus of the plan. If we're weighing in all of the two administration priorities and all those kind of things, it would also take, my understanding is that it would take council to also need to engage an update. So you would have the council and then for the funding. So we have to secure funding to pursue a project. But those are the obvious hurdles that come up to mind right now.
I may jump in. Those aren't hurdles. They're simply requirements in the process that has to be followed. So, you know, if you can define the requirements, then they can work.
Exactly, and so then we can take it piece by piece again, right? So that started. Well, let's try and focus in, or I mean, somewhat. So let's map out how we're going to pitch this to council in some way. Yeah, administration. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but Pete said he has to leave at 6. So, and we won't have by 59.
Okay. And we don't have to decide to go. Right, if anybody wants to make a something that we need to vote on in the next minute, now would be the time to pitch it. The other thing to keep in mind is, although we have a tentative cadence set up for the year, you can always call a special meeting, right? And at the same time, I think right now, I don't think we're gonna. I mean, we actually have a decent amount. I don't think we were gonna figure out all the different strategies that the AC1, but this is something to chew on, and then you be reaching out back. I would say that, I mean, Ruth left early, but I believe Ruth's main points in the Google form were the second. So, and Tristy's was the cell phone housing. So we've kind of like, we're spitballing all the different things. We can continue to talk about it after we just forum, but if you guys
Yeah.
okay, so Uncle Pete, if you had any other final words, I know you mentioned the SSFM project, and we can send out a link to that environmental notice to all of you guys also.
Well, actually, this is Jojo again, and that's my concern is Kauai High is not on your priority, even though I did respond. And so it kind of concerns us in Kauai High that the CDP cut us out. And number 2, we don't have a representative from Kauai High. I mean, you got from Puako, you got Waikoloa, you got Waimea, you don't have Kauai High. So it's doubly concerning that our priority is not in your list. And then you're gonna tell me that I gotta put it on the next agenda? I think the one that's really troubling is an evacuation road. And that that's on our Kauai High chapter 6. But that road is needed because of the wildfire. And we don't have another access. If the bridge is washout or it breaks on two sides of the subdivision. The other thing is that the CDP does not recognize 26 residential lots in your map. It's called commercial lots. So the information needs to be changed, not to mention the boundary cuts off Hawaiian Homes. Hawaiian Homes is on the other side of Kaiopai Gulch, as well as the Kailapa subdivision, which is in between two gulches. So it's like half of Hawaiian Homes is in North Kohala, and the other half is in South Kohala. So, I mean, are we supposed to go to two CDPs because North Kohala don't invite us to their meetings, and our water come from North Kohala, but they get their electric from us over here. And then they cannot go over there unless they pass us in Kauai. So our priority responses are not reflected in here, even though I did make that request at meeting, and I wrote it, and I sent it to the president, and she said she reported to the planning department. So yeah, I would be concerned that you're gonna put me off till next month after you guys are taking a vote. You guys need to add us in these priority responses. And that's what I'm asking for today. Put our priority in there. Number one is water. Number two is the evacuation road. Number three is the marine water quality, because it comes from the land that the planning department got to give out permits in order to use that land. And those three are not reflected in these priorities. How come? Are we supposed to report to somebody else that we haven't reported to, as well as the CDP? Yeah, you want to cut me off. I know. Yeah, the hand signals is telling me, cut me off, cut me off. Well, Kauai High needs a representative. Otherwise, we got no say. No say in the governance process. And maybe that's what's happening to Kauai High. You guys is trying to shut us up. Thank you.
Anyone on the road for public testimony?
Okay.
Everybody
Yeah,
else, looks like we have some.
I suggest for those, these priorities are based on the committee members only. It wasn't on,
That's what just said.
wasn't on public comments. Yeah, the Senate.
Not, we were, I think, shall be responsible.
So, but
6.
We got
on
6. In this section.
on the South Community Development Plan, actually it is mentioned in the Quiet High Community Plan within the section. What you mentioned of it's just that we just have, it's not on this particular presentation. But it is on our plan.
Just a way to start a conversation.
Appreciate your. We got form now, but please.
We can still continue with the conversation.
Yes.
We just can't vote on it.
Bill will also be leaving about 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
At least I
Yes.
got my testimony on the table.
So,
It's
Bill,
gonna
yeah,
come out in a minute.
And then we do
Thank
have
you.
somebody.
Yes.
I have a moment.
And it's gonna be in a minute. Thanks.
I will only see you with your hand up. You're welcome to come to your testimony now.
Aloha, can you guys hear me okay? I'm gonna take that as a yes. I was just curious about something, and I apologize if this is something that may have been discussed earlier. I did come into this meeting a little bit late, but I saw that I don't have the page open right in front of me right now as far as the priority responses go. I know that there's been discussion about building these, evacuation routes and alternative routes in and out of Waikoloa Village, which is where I'm located. I'm just curious, though, is there any news on what's going to happen with the roundabout and what the timeline is with that being built? Because this is a mess. I grew up here in the village and I'm 33 years old, and this intersection is crazy dangerous. And I just don't understand why we don't have a roundabout already or a stoplight. I know that the roundabout is the plan, but when are we going to get that?
Department of Parks and Public Works, gotta send them an email on the webpage, typically consider that, okay, we're working.
My understanding, last I heard was, they've selected a roundabout.
Yeah.
Which they think is cheaper, but they ignored the cost of the acquisition of the additional land that's needed. So they have to acquire privately owned land around the intersection in order to build a roundabout, which process, as far as I know, has not started.
It was already approved by the finance department 7 months ago, with the acquisition.
But they haven't started, I didn't know they had started talking to the actual.
Yeah.
Steve Paulson said he's delaying the process because the property is zone commercial. And if they don't build on it for many months, it'll fall into ag and become much more affordable again.
This is what I told people when they said, someone said to me, I think a roundabout's a good idea, and I said, yeah, but you don't understand, it's a traffic light now or a roundabout now. I think projects that have some twisty windy path to get to here don't have it, right? You need so anyway, that's from the resolution.
I'm just going to interrupt to say I'm so sorry, but it is very hard for me to fully hear you folks on my end. And I think it's simply because, you folks are in person with each other and there's just a lot of ambient sound sort of in the background. But what I was kind of getting there is that there would need to be permits to obtain land around the area to build the roundabout. Is there somewhere that I can maybe read a little bit about this, or maybe somebody could drop something in the chat? Just because I'm not really sure where I can find information on these things or submit testimony myself, if that's helpful to make these things happen faster.
Department of Public Works, right? Yeah, it's Department of Public Works, and the person in charge is Steve Potts. I'm sure he's. I would I would call him up directly to get some answers there. Don't have that with us right now, but maybe we could put that in the chat. Thing.
Hey, Evelyn, if you want to send in your email, then we can have somebody reach out to you also.
I would really appreciate that, Mahalo. Yeah, it's just, I'm so sorry. I should have come to this meeting in person, honestly, because I have a lot of auditory issues and I have to like see people's mouths moving and you guys are tiny on the screen. So, but that's my email address. Let me know if that came through. It said it was sent as a direct message. I'm not sure why. Okay, I guess you guys got it. But yeah, mahalo. I would love to help in whatever way we can get something where we're not just guessing who goes next.
And Steve is here in person tomorrow if you want to chat with him.
I have a question about that.
Do you want to come up here so where the people can hear more better online?
No, I don't want to do it.
Oh, okay. It's just
No,
okay.
I don't have to be on camera. I just want to ask one question. I think it's a good idea, first of all, because people will speak to the light to make it to the light and get everything done. You know, that's. But who decided we should have a 2-lane roundabout? That's really a nightmare with an accident. Why can't we just have one big enough for the trucks to get the military? Without 2 lanes, is there anything driven on the 2-lane roundabout? Yes. People get confused, and not everybody here. So that's what I don't know.
Yeah. County put the bid out, it's now, it's with 30 years.
But he's gonna be here tomorrow.
So my address.
Yeah, I mean, it's good things that we need to really things to do before the project is started, and it might require less planning. No, too many.
You know, we go based on public service, and really, there's only so many hours a day, go critical function in the morning and the afternoon. So it's kind of like the other 19 or 18 hours a day, there's no problem. It's the only time.
The language is not.
Plus the housing for the current 100,000, it's gonna be over 3,000 more units. And yes, yeah.
It's, yeah, one way that this goes around, we want to get that very.
Do you have any other, people in person or on Zoom that want to provide testimony? This type on this action, on this, agenda item?
I just want to provide testimony and say that the county planning department needs to consider the word community in the planning and the CDP, because there's so much that goes on, we're just not informed or told. And back in the day, the CDPs, we used to get information from Deanna Patato on EAs, EISs. We would get emails on everything, so we could inform, we get nothing.
I'd like to share, on that note, that bring up public notices, that there are other active committees that are working on finding ways to improve the processes that exist already. They are also tentatively meeting with council members, and things like that. And if that is something that you guys are also interested in, I would only imagine that a collective voice would help push across that. Planning department specifically, we have our sunshine requirements, of course, for these boards, so that includes planning commission. Maybe away and whatnot, but for things like your subdivisions, your plan approvals, your variances, all of that. Code only requires, public notice in the newspaper. So the bit dated, also there. And so, it has been clear that that is kind of the, what is going to continue. So, as I've been told, this in the newspaper, and the newspapers are in the libraries, so, do with that what you will. So that could be a simple, something that, you know, corporate wants to help draft, a simple change, that's just a few, like an extra sentence, which you probably to zoning code, or wherever else that's applicable. To kind of bring it up in current times. Yeah.
What is the paper record?
I'm sorry.
What is the paper record for the county?
I'm sorry.
What is the paper of record? Where it's officially not to be read.
In the newspaper. Oh, the straight mail and the bus. And those are posted, depending on the type of one. We also have it, we also do have it on the website, which is not required by code. Just scroll down on our homepage, by our homepage, click on our public notices. You'll find a nice copy of the newspaper. Also do that. But going back to your guys' discussion then. I'm hearing greenways, I'm hearing, road access, to Waimea Church Road, Kohala, second access for Kohala. I'm hearing update on the CDP from the committee members. What else do you guys have?
Can we
Oh,
do
Or do you want to start strategizing?
Housing. The CDP book says it's gonna be 800 homes in New South. Now it's all sudden all rentals, so it's the county gets the rental business instead of selling homes to people, which is something that the mayor wants to keep people here, or even keep people here, if they can't buy something, they're gonna be mad for the rest of their life. That's like ridiculous, but that's a problem, and also, I've been asking for the master plan for the community, so we can find out about the community center, which is in the CDP, but it's happening. You know, even 16 years ago, it's like a done deal, and it's in the book, and we don't have any information, we have people, partners like, PTA that want to help us get grant money so we can upgrade and fortify this and see the evidence, we're not getting anywhere, we're trying to get, you know, make it a hardened gym shelter, and we can't even get the plan or anything. And, you know, what do we do, housing, we just need to, so those are things that we need to work on here on the bills, and they haven't changed.
Yeah, no bill, no bill receipt.
Where the description that's in the CDP is over.
Yeah,
And so some of the items might be still priorities, but the whole description of it's wrong, but it's the, even the description just need to be updated. So there could be a useful reference for people to look at, what do we do this? And I think, as we note all the time, because the communities here are so different in South Carolina, very disparate communities, that it needs to be. And I don't feel like we can realistically pursue the top priority of each individual community at the same time as actually. We probably need to.
It would take a lot.
Together. Right? So which ones? Is it always Waimea? Is it Kohala? Is it, you know, Kohala doesn't have someone on the committee right now, so Kohala gets left out, or Kuoko? Remember the Kuoko one? Karen is still up. Okay, so it's really, I feel it's uneven. I have a hard time believing that we can really convince the county, state, local community, organizations, whatever, to pursue certain activities when they ask us what are the priorities, that we don't have a reference to the activities.
And not to make the conversation harder, but it is not necessarily that you have to pick one of these action items. This is just a start. It could be, what was the example I frequently? The tree city designation for the county is something that isn't explicitly noted in here, but it's a title that the county lost and it now makes us ineligible for certain funding. Private grants and whatnot. But if that's something that a committee wanted to pursue, there's plenty of language I think that and any of the CDPs that would support the committee pursuing something like that. Just makes it a little. That's all I wanted to add to yours.
It's the classic, we don't like the law as written, so let's ignore that and do our own thing instead of fixing it.
correct.
Right? Let's fix it.
I think
I understand you're right, we could, right?
we have, I think, just the three of you left, is my understanding. So what you guys want to do with this time is purely up to you. You guys are all like those guys. If you guys want to discuss first, second, access, updated CDP.
They're basically just a community organization. Yeah. They're almost not accountable.
They get stuff done.
They do get something.
And get stuff done.
And if you've been to their meetings, they actually quite a bit follow Robert's rules and sunshine quite to the T. So it's a lot impressive, not impressive, but they still follow the same structure. And they are, I believe, updating their own CDP, also, so. Your options.
Sure, if I may, one recommendation for Southwest CDP is to, for future agenda, to add the one thing required is, and I don't want to see them touch on requires or something to the law, for what I'm seeing here, is the fuel go and alcohol wastewater management plan. That plan is already kind of for part of the county, integrated wastewater master plan. But it would be good for this committee to look at that and kind of analyze different pieces that they're proposing across the district. See how it fits the bill and what approach it should take on certain communities, whether it's a community-wide, district-wide plan, or each communities that tackle certain small practices, so it's just a recommendation to put it on the future agenda to discuss.
Yeah, actually, that was one of the things that I was gonna ask for the next meeting. It'd be, agenda items.
And I believe CDM should be coming out with that draft. Should be coming out with that draft. Pretty good, and you guys can provide comment. Good question. Sorry.
So here's an interesting question, right? So. Let's say that we wanted to just go and, you know. Organize the community and get some groups together and go hit up, you know. Good fellow brothers and the resorts and say, let's build a community center up here in Buffalo. And we're motivated and we're able to negotiate and navigate that, that's fine, right? People can go and do that and maybe succeed doing it. But that's not a county action committee. That's an independent community organization. So. What to me, the county action committee. Should be different from that. It shouldn't just be a community organization where we have. You kindly help us with the meetings, right? Like there needs to be some purpose to it being a county. And so North Kohala, they've just given up on the county, so we're just gonna do a community action committee, and it's fine, right? They're having success with that. But if I was going to do that, I wouldn't take on all this extra overhead. I would do that separately. So why is it here? Why are we part of it? Why are we a county committee? Well, I assume that's because the county we should be coordinated with the county, have some involvement with the county. That's the extra leverage that makes this committee valuable, because we are not connected to the county and can affect some change or move things forward in the counties. And then when the county people come and talk to us, they say, we expect you to go out into the community. Right, like, well, hold on, right? Like, Julia already does that. There's no, right? And that's not like, I guess. When we had was it Zendo? We had on the meeting, and I started, I have a challenge for you. Right, you've got all these volunteers, because it's already last meeting, brother meeting. Anyway, all these volunteers, full island, who have volunteered to spend time to help the county interact with our communities and to move community priorities forward. Tasked us with something. Right, there were like, what, 50 community, like action committee members on the call, who are all sitting there for an hour listening to Zendo talk for whatever, after 20 minutes, whatever, but who are willing to help. We got nothing. Like, not a thing from him. He even said, yes, that's one of my like challenges I want to, whatever, right? So I guess what I'm saying is, I'm interested in doing some things. But I want to do things that we can do because we're a county community, not things that we can do other ways. I'm interested to hear other people's thoughts on that.
Well,
I assume that's how it works. Then you know, all to do the counts.
well, I think the county gets a big black eye because they haven't done it with the Kohalas for a long time. It's on record. Yeah, we try to interact with the county council people and planning and, you know, how are we gonna engage people with a 16-year-old? It's the same old things that we wanted 16 years ago and 4 years prior to that, and you know, nothing happened. We don't have any change. There's no, you know, there's nothing's happened. We're supposed to beat the dead horses and sit there and go, okay, but this is what was in the book and this is what they said. Or are these still your priorities? Well, of course, they're still our priorities. But, you know, what, are we gonna be able to get the community to engage with us if nothing's been done, if we don't have anything to show for anything? It's gonna be hard. And that's on you guys for not working with us. Thank you.
Well, not personally.
Yeah,
I
you do.
I hear you guys and I see it, and, yeah,
Sorry, but you know.
it's very real, and I hesitate to say, but I feel like even the action committees, this project, from what I've gathered, is so far. I mean, there's no other county that has action in this state, an action committee. They have neighborhood boards, they have other things, but the way chapter 16 is written,
Maui.
what do they do?
We are Maui. They have a west side, I can get, I used to send it to, Bethany and other people. Yeah, they're counting. We are now, I will, they're incredible.
I'm at this stage.
They're like years ahead of like.
It was established with very broad, rules, with the idea of like, you guys give you the liberty to make it what you want to make, right? But you're not given any. You guys are just advisory. And you're all volunteers, community volunteers. And I think another example would bring up North Kohala. Another example is what's under recovery division. So if we look at that map, I didn't really talk about that, but they're the RCAs. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. But with the eruption and the Kilauea recovery funds, they kind of made their own pseudo AC that doesn't have to abide by sunshine. And so they have these different RCAs of different themes, economics, beauty, culture, same things. And these groups, their chair, there's two co-chairs, one is a county representative and one is a community member. And then they, bring in other members of the public to be part of their RCA group. Resilience, capacity areas. This was a pilot project that started 3 years ago. And the idea was we're gonna have these co-chairs work together and little by little, hand off, we're gonna teach the community how to do what we do, and then they're gonna go all by themselves, do it all by themselves. And it's gonna be great. And I find it bizarre, in personal opinion now, that we keep insisting that volunteer community members on advisory groups are supposed to be what is sounding like the work of county employees or other employees. And we're insisting that like, well, they just need to work hard. They just need to like, they're just so, and it's like, I feel like you're missing the bigger picture here in those conversations. And so I'm hearing this. I just want to let you know that, yeah, it is extremely problematic to see. I'm actually kind of sometimes dumbfounded that chapter 16 even got created anyway, and these communities even got to exist because of what at that point, right? So in this relaunching that I'm doing, it's one we're also like rebranding ourselves a bit, and definitely trying to work on finding that the baton has been passed so many times within planning, that from DeGan to Common to Keiko to Lena, like that so many things have fallen in, right? So I'm also not saying I'm here forever, but like while we're here, like this obviously is the first step, right? And so, and I think a part of it, my goal with this conversation was hopefully we focus on one tiny tangible project, and we have maybe other projects also happening. Right? The CDP update, that's gonna take a lot of work to get that going, but is that something that we want to bring up every committee meeting? Yes, as an update, maybe do we need a permitted interaction? Maybe, but also, is there a smaller bite-sized thing that we can start doing and getting done so that we can start fixing the reputation things? So we can start pointing. A common thing that I get is, well, what have the ACs done in the past? Well, I mean, okay, that's not fair. That's not fair at all. But then it looks at the collective. Well, what do they do, right? And so we have things that the ACs have done well before my time, but in more recent years, we have letters that we've sent. Sure, we've had, testimony that has been given, yes, council, the planning commission, but yeah. Is it for nothing? No, I don't think so, but like, what are other, can we do some small tasks and also work on the bigger tasks in the background? Is that an option? Or is it just, do we double down on these big ones? And right now, let's say if the committee was just for keep the conversation going, do we just double down on second access and see if we have this? Can we do that? do we want to do that? How could we get involved with second access? What would be our first next step?
Suggestion would be perhaps we work with Corporation Council to draft an amendment that provides some funding to the action committees for the purposes of community engagement, communication and feedback meetings, other similar purposes. We had, how much would it cost to do one community meeting a month? $500 a meeting, $1,000 a meeting, right? If we had $15,000 per action committee to do community engagement and communication, whatever. like, we could do
This is the very real side that actually I started to realize also in this position. This is the internal side that. We don't have any secretaries here. Having a meeting that has to be run under sunshine with Robert's rules without secretaries is not sustainable, right? And so then we have planners doing secretary work. And that is time that planners could be spent supporting and one, at this level, learning our CDPs, and then two, supporting the ACs like that, right? So there's like foundational cracks all over in this program. And so, yeah, funding for an update for sure. I would love to have a secretary too, while we're talking about it at the same time. How are there 6 committees under the county that don't have an assigned secretary? That, you know, for a document that is supposed to be referenced in land use applications consistent.
Maybe you can help us, we help you.
Yeah.
To support it.
Yeah, so there's a bigger picture here, and if we're looking to dissect that bigger picture,
That way.
that's also okay, right? I've had conversations with other AC members that are like, well, maybe this. We need to find a way to give the ACs a little bit more. In what their letters mean, right? Or look at Cultural Resources Commission, they are also advised to read, planning commission sends applications their way for an opinion. How can we get something similar? That's also a way to make us different from a community organization, right? If I'm being so blunt, North Kohala Advisory Group, they are just another community organization in the counties now. But we have a positive relationship, I would say it's decent. And we send people their way, absolutely. But technically by the books, they're no different than your neighborhood Chester. So how do we make sure we are distinguishing ourselves from the boys and girls? From Chester, you know? And so is that in policy? We have Kohala focusing a lot in that realm and advocating for policy changes, some of the laws are happening. But also it's, you know, what does that mean about treatments? And that way.
Okay, could we do that, for example? Could we say we want to work with council to draft some?
I think we definitely.
Ordinance that go to the city could, of course, whoever's next could sponsor or agree to present to council for review and we together, actually, other action committees could give input, but I mean. Narrow things.
And then,
Not a catch all of every single problem there is in action. It's very specifically focused. Maybe these 2 issues that we talked about. One was we need administrative support for community planning. And we need a budget for action committees for community engagement.
and there are council members that are aware of this and are looking into it, right? Absolutely, they don't bring it up like this, but they, you know, they are looking for all the alternatives. And so since that conversation is already happening, why not? And I would say, like, considering we don't have one, considering like as of right now today, maybe that next action item step would actually to be to ask for a meeting sheet. And have her provide, and you know, we can give her a little background information on what the meeting is, and she can give us half an hour, whatever you want. To start that conversation, and then we bring back to the committee at the next meeting. More formally, and this is what you found out, this is what we could do, this is where you have support and whatnot. That could be the beginning of that.
Could we also contact city?
Yeah.
See if she would those are two meetings, I think,
Yeah,
or
yeah, that would be to reach out to both of them, yeah, we could do that. We don't need to vote on something like that, that's if you're asking us, the planning staff to look at something like, so.
no more than two committee members involved, right?
Yeah, no more than two, so find Carter and then we can make it happen. Clarify whether you want in person or Zoom. And then probably in person. Yeah,
Sure, just another point, you actually have two council members that are going to support this Kohala. Kind of spans into this, the council district wants. Just a little bit different thought.
So this is true.
There's no CDP is non-existent, it's not Kohala, it's leadership, it's not directly with the mayor and team with that we without a lot of, let's get a bunch of priorities, you know, it's just like, I wasn't in the CDP, but it's. It's in, how kind of direction, so it's.
So, but I'll admit, it, this is my nature, I like to go to the bottom. And fix something, yeah, you mentioned. So it doesn't mean it's necessarily the thing to do, but. It looks like. It would make a difference if that, we had that, because. Like, I'm not a social butterfly type person, I'm not out there talking to people. But I go to events and talk to people. But I would host a community, like at a venue with, you know, equipment and whatever it is, and sit there and let people talk and communicate information, like, that's interesting. So. It's like, that's why I talk about that.
These letters and. Or that.
letters of support,
Yeah, or that.
you guys would draft it up and you vote on it, and then planning that usually helps kind of finish the cover letter and everything like that, and then we can send it out on your behalf or share it and send it out.
We have to, if it's a committee letter, we have to make a motion and vote on at a meeting first.
Yeah.
Before our case.
And something other committee members, they'll have it all drafted and then we'll make it as part of the meeting packet and then you guys vote yea or nay or amend it right there. And then that helps us today. But also you could say, you guys could vote without having a letter drafted and say the bullets that you want it to be included and say the letter is like this. Assign somebody to draft it, even if that is planning. And it could be sent on with that. But there's ways, and I think that's part of also our job. So. No, Robert's rules, sunshine, those are essentially formulas, right? And expecting community members to just first day on the job, be able to, you know, speak German and, you know. Host the meeting in German is a bit, right? So it has to be provided support background, you don't have to follow it, and but it's there to. Okay, so as planning staff, as community planning staff is learning, and we're trying to clean it up for you guys. It's nice that we're on. We stepped in, there was nobody in this section. And so I didn't get even a one-day rundown from the previous person that was in that position. I was told to go look in the files. So, and at the same time, I had no staff, so I was doing all the same. For basically the past, or no, sorry, the first 6 months. So. Just a little pity for some humblingness of ourselves. But not that we don't want to, but that we're also growing and we're cleaning up. As we can. Yeah. Oh. I don't know.
Actually, especially at this point, so whatever I do for you, whatever else you'd like to.
Yeah, so I just do a little segue there. This stuff, announcements. South Kohala CDP Action Committee did send a letter, draft letter. Letter for the draft general plan 2045. And I'll submit it to the planning department. So we have to see that letter. The next meeting will be on Monday, August 26th, 2024. Other announcements. The planning department is currently seeking applicants for the South Kohala Action Committee. And is requesting assistance to get the word out to interested community members. Application can be found on the mayor's, the mayor's office website. So at hawaiicounty.gov. Another announcement. Department of Environmental Management, we got in the process to draft an integrated wastewater management plan. We're recording the first round of the public meetings will be found on YouTube. Search for that. It's not a long address. I'm gonna go for that. Hawaii Electric Public Safety Power Shutoffs information and repair also available at records.hawaiicounty.gov. County of Hawaii Office of Housing and Community Development, Waimea Public Meeting for 2025, 2029. Consolidated plan. It's being held on July 11th, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. at the Waimea Community Center. That's 65-1-1260 Waimea Road.
I want to have the, at 5 p.m.
Oh,
It's a Zoom meeting in Hilo that same day.
oh,
They're posting meetings on all different places. We got early hours of the day, so.
and those is for
Fun.
Very
Very
fun.
fun. Sorry to say that. It's too much fun.
Last one is County of Hawaii real property tax public hearing. To be on July 11th, it's gonna be July 18th at 5 p.m. at the county council chambers in Hilo. It will also be available on Zoom. And to register, you can go to COH, so COH Finance, hawaiicounty.gov. And it's going to discuss 3 agriculture programs. Community food sustainability, short-term commercial dedication, and long-term commercial dedication. Anybody has anything else? Comments or anything? So we adjourn the meeting and we adjourn it at 9:45. Excuse me, 6:45. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.